are we? This is Chat UTD. This time last year, we were coming to the realisation that the season had been a complete disaster. We'd just lost the Europa League final, heading into the last domestic game of the season. The Europa League was everything for us last season. We pinned our hopes on it to salvage something from the season. The game was a complete damp squib, and there was a lot of question marks as to where do United go from here. We finished 15th, and there certainly wasn't a lot of optimism around. Fast forward to now, we go into the last domestic game of the season in third place, 12 places higher than last season. We can't finish any lower than that, lower or higher, but we can't finish any lower than that. And we have the opportunity to finish with 29 more points than we had last year. That's nearly 10 extra wins. You could look at it that way, which is a remarkable achievement. I think in terms of where does the credit lie, I think you've got to give some credit to Ruben Amorim. The foundations he built, the players he got rid of. The team was doing better at the start of the season without being anywhere close to good enough, really, and we still were very, very inconsistent. But he got us to the position that Carrick then took on, and obviously we were in a decent position anyway, and that's obviously partially down at least to Amorim. The key players for me, particularly since Carrick has come in, have been Fernandes, Maguire, Casemiro, and the goalkeeper, Lamens, has been brilliant, and they deserve an awful lot of credit. But really, the main credit goes to Carrick. He's completely turned our season around, and the record he's got is incredible. In the time that he's been there, 16, whatever it is, 16, I think it'll be 17 games tomorrow, we have the best record in the Premier League in that time. It's nearly half a season of football. So I use the word again, it's remarkable. And he's been announced as the permanent manager. A little bit under the radar, actually, but he has. We all knew it was going to happen, but he has. He's signed a 2-year contract. Do the board deserve some credit? Yeah. They spent 200 million quid last summer. The forwards they've brought in have definitely given us a new impetus, a bit more dynamism. I think Cunha in particular is an individual player that can transform a game and give you a big moment. He's an exceptionally gifted football player. And there's more to come from all of them. The goalkeeper has been massive. I mentioned the Europa League final. Onana was awful in that final. He cost us, really, as he did in so many games last season. And Lamens has been brilliant. And they spent 200 million quid having finished 15th. So you've got to give them credit, but I think they had to spend that money because of the abomination of the season we just had. And maybe if they'd have recruited better previously, we wouldn't have finished 15th. But you do have to give them credit for spending that money. But it very much now is a case of, well, what are you going to do next? And it's on them to go and support Carrick, because, as I mentioned previously, there's a big opportunity here for United. I've been saying that for a while. The rest of the league isn't that good. The two that are above us are not that good. Guardiola's leaving. As a United fan that grew up in the era I grew up in, I smell a chance here. I smell silverware. Do they smell it? Do they anticipate it? And more to the point, do they have the appetite, the gumption, the money, and the aggressive relentlessness to go and seize this opportunity? It remains to be seen. Do they have the expertise to go and do it as well? We'll see. Because as I mentioned in the last video, if we spend between 250 and 270 over the summer strategically, then we have a huge opportunity here. All the best, by the way. We need more than just midfielders this summer, but looking at that area, what we need for me is 3 midfield players. We need an elite, marquee, high-profile midfield player, the likes of an Anderson or a Tonali. Then we need what I would call like a mid-range midfield player, perhaps like a Fernandes from West Ham or a Scott from Bournemouth. And then maybe a slightly cheaper option like an Edison from Atlanta. What I fear we'll get is two. By the way, I'd put Baleba in the mid-range as well. I think we'll get Baleba and they'll sell that as the marquee signing, whereas for me it's a mid-range signing and a cheaper option, and I don't think we'll get three. And for me that's not enough. But I'm predicting I could be, obviously, it could be a wrong prediction, so hopefully it will be, but I'm very sceptical about this ownership, so that's what we need. And thinking about Elliot Anderson, he's what I describe as a United signing. Not just a United player, a United type signing. Some United fans will say, we need to move away from the past. But forget comparing us to others for now. Let's compare us now to our former selves when we were good. The behaviour traits of United in the 90s and in the 2000s, if we were to replicate those behaviour traits as a club, as to how we act as a club, those characteristics are transferable to now, and it would be successful. The details and the specifics of how clubs run now is different. Football's changed a lot, but the behavioural characteristics of top clubs are the same now as they were then. And one of our very strong behavioural characteristics when we were in our pomp was signing the best young, normally English or British, but it doesn't really matter, the best young player in the Premier League in their position. Examples: Keane, Rio, Rooney, tons of others probably. But not only did we sign them, but then they'd come in and they'd have a stellar career at Old Trafford. Compare that to Chelsea and City when they came into their money. They did get players like, obviously, Chelsea bought Ashley Cole, Lampard, City brought some players in, obviously, who've then had long careers there as well. Yeah, they have. But those two would just stockpile young Premier League talent because they didn't want others to get them. And they just sit and rot on the bench. Calvin Phillips, Sean Wright-Phillips, Scott Parker, there's three off the top of my head. United rarely ever did that. They'd buy a young Premier League player, normally, as I say, a British player, and they'd have their career at United. And I'm doing these top 5 videos at the moment. I've only actually uploaded one, which was the midfielder one, but I've recorded quite a few now, and I'll start uploading them over the next few weeks. But as I'm doing them, what I'm realising is, if you go up from 1988, when I first started watching United, until when Ferguson retired, so let's say for a wing, one of the top 5s I did recently was the wingers. I'm looking at the wingers and I'm like, right, there's not that many to choose from, because either products from our academy or players we bought just came in and stayed. So they'd be there for years. So there's not an abundance of different players to choose from in these top 5s, because one of the features of quite a lot of the players I'm talking about in the strikers' top 5s, and the midfielders' top 5s, and the wingers' top 5s is longevity. We'd buy a player young, they'd have the bulk of their career at Old Trafford, and in Keane's case, for example, 12 years at United. Carrick was there for 12 years, Ferdinand was there for 12 years, Rooney was there for 12 years. And as I say, academy products is a bit different, but Anderson for me has a bit of that about him. That if we buy him now, Leon, you said the word, he could be transformative for us. It could be a transformative signing. Symbolically, what that says is we have bought the best young English midfield player in the Premier League, and we've beat off competition from our rivals to be able to do it. And it sets a tone. And it's a ripple effect. It's not just the signing, which would be good in itself. It's the ripple effect that it has. So we need a signing of that ilk. And as I said, in terms of the board, it's over to the board, and hopefully they get that done. In other news, Bruno Fernandes has been named the Premier League Player of the Year. So he's now got the football writers, he's got the Premier League, he'll probably get hopefully the PFA Player of the Year as well. Again, well deserved. A testament to the season that he's had in a team that, okay, he's going to finish third, but he's not in the top two, hasn't even been in Europe, not stayed in the domestic cup competitions. You have to have had a hell of a season to be voted the best player when your team has done okay, but not great. And he has confirmed that he's staying next season, which I thought he would, but he's confirmed that he is, which obviously is good news for United. We play Brighton tomorrow. There's not a lot riding on it. We could break that 70-point barrier, which for me is quite significant, only because we've rarely done it since Ferguson retired. I think we've done it 3 times, so it'd be nice to be able to do that. Again, symbolically, it would be nice to be able to do that and finish with 29 more points than we got last year. As I say, that's ridiculous, really, to be able to do that. But really, there's not a lot riding on it for us. For Brighton, there is, because they, I think, with Villa winning the Europa League, I think 6th place could be enough for the Champions League. So Brighton are in the conversation to finish 6th, but they would have to beat us, I think. So it's still on for them to be able to do that. Not sure what team he'll pick. I'm not sure how motivated the players will be. Obviously, Fernandes could break the assist record. I'm sure he'll play, and I'm sure he'll be hell-bent on making that happen. But it's just a game to hopefully enjoy, like we did last week against Nottingham Forest. Not an awful lot riding on it, is there? Just a final word on Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick spent 12 years, I think, at United as a player. He then became a coach. He was then an assistant manager. He did a short interim stint before Ranić came in, and after Solskjaer. He's a fan, and now he's got a 2-year contract at United. Nothing would please me more than Carrick being our version of an Arteta, where at United it just fits. Maybe elsewhere, if he was at Bournemouth or Fulham or West Ham or Tottenham or wherever else, if he was a manager, I don't particularly think he'd prosper. But sometimes there's the right fit because he understands the club. And obviously, hopefully, he's pretty decent as well. I'm sure he reads the game particularly very, very well. I'm sure if he coaches and thinks about the game as a coach and can, as he did as a player, and he's able to translate that and communicate that and then translate that into results, which so far he has. Not in style of football he hasn't, but in terms of results he has, then, you know, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it? The board have got to get behind him and properly support him. And I repeat, this is a huge opportunity for United. They can't hang him out to dry. I think when you make a decision to get an inexperienced manager, as he undoubtedly is, and someone that probably doesn't have the slap you in the face credentials to do it, you have to support him, and you have to give him every single chance, and you have to stack the odds in your favour. And to do that, as I said, we need 3 midfielders, we need a left back and a right back, and I'd say we need a backup striker. I think we need more than that. But if we do that, and we do it strategically, and we get the right players in, with this league as is, and a bit of a feel-good factor, and a good start to the season next season, we could be right up there. And I've not thought that or felt like that, well, probably since Ferguson. I wasn't one of that subscribed to United having a chance to win it when we finished second and reached the Europa League final. I didn't think for a second we'd win it the season after that. No way. I didn't think we'd win it. Maybe I did think we'd win it under Mourinho, actually. So I'd say, yeah, probably since Mourinho, which quickly went south, really. But I've not had any hope, really, that United would win a title since then, or even be up there. So, as I said in the last video, it's over to you, to the board. You've got to go and do the business, and you've got to show yourselves to have some appetite and some gumption. And as I said before, can you smell the opportunity that I can smell? If you can, Are you going to act on it? So there's your opportunity. Hopefully they take it. Check in with you again probably Monday to do the post-match after Brighton, and more of those top 5 videos on the way as well. Nice one. Glazers out.